Game is presented by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Welcome into the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio at TIAA Bank Field. The first NFL game in 45 years between teams, one of them on a 9 or more game winning streak and the other on an 8 or more game losing streak.
All right, well, we made history. I don't think that's the kind of history the Jaguars wanted to make this year, but it's noteworthy nonetheless.
It is, and it's a struggle for the Jags right now, obviously 8 in a row. The last two they've played better, it felt like. The results haven't been there. They haven't been able to finish the football game in Green Bay last week. They had the lead in the fourth quarter. They just couldn't finish it off.
Yeah, look, it seems like they're playing better, JP. There's no question about it. But, in the NFL, they judge you by your wins and losses. So while it's great to be more competitive, the end result has been the same. And unfortunately for the Jags, they're getting more and more beat up right now. Some key players are going to be missing or questionable to play today. And against the Steeler team that can bring it on both sides of the ball, that is a dangerous combination.
Be on the lookout today. Publix giving away koozies. They kind of look like wrist band things, but they are koozies for cans. If you're watching on Jaguars social media, koozies or T-shirts. So be on the lookout today at TIAA Bank Field, and you could snag some Jaguars Publix gear. Let's get to today's top story, starting with the Steelers undefeated, the Jaguars 8 times defeated. Head coach Doug Marrone knows the Steelers will not take this matchup lightly.
They'll come down here. They'll be ready to go. They got a lot at stake. You know what I'm saying? 9-0. They watched us play last week where we played a tough game. We've got some turnovers. We got a special teams play. So they'll be ready to go. So you're not gonna catch them or anything like that. It's not an issue with weather. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the weather will be fine. It's not going to be 98 degrees and, hot as hell, which is, we've got a lot of challenges this week in all three phases that we play.
No doubt about that. The offense for the Steelers humming, and they're, could even actually get a little bit better. They haven't run the ball the last 3 weeks or so, especially, but they really haven't had to. They're throwing the ball pretty well.
Yeah, and I think that's probably going to be their approach today, honestly, with C.J. Henderson going on IR. Sidney Jones questionable to play. If he does play, how effective is he going to be? With a sore Achilles. So you're going to have a lot of youth in that secondary. Daniel Thomas making only his second start. James Conner's average per carry has gone down almost every week since a high of about 5 weeks ago of over 5 yards a carry. It's been now under 3 yards a carry for a couple of games, and it just hasn't been good there. But, I think they can win without that. I think you're going to certainly want to stop the run. I thought the Jags did a nice job against the run last week with Aaron Jones and company, but didn't stop Aaron Rodgers, even in bad weather, for throwing for over 300 yards. So with the array of weapons Roethlisberger has today, I think they'll take to the air quite a bit.
Let's hear from defensive end Josh Allen. The Jags facing another future Hall of Fame quarterback.
I feel like he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. I feel like we're about to play 2 back-to-back. Last week we played Aaron Rodgers, and we saw what he can do for his team in situations, and now we're about to play against another one. And I just know we're going to get 100% from them, and, we're excited about it.
So Roethlisberger has the fastest average time to throw of any quarterback in the league this year, 2.31 seconds. Mm-hmm. He gets it out quickly. In his younger days, he used to hold the ball a little bit longer and, would see how things develop down the field. Doesn't feel that way early for the Steelers.
No, it doesn't, JB, but they're spreading teams out right now. Chase Claypool has come on in the big way. He's been a big play threat. Deontay Johnson in his second season gets about 10 targets every week from Roethlisberger. Juju Smith-Schuster remains very dangerous. I mean, he's got guys, and Roethlisberger's at the stage of his career when he gets up to the line of scrimmage, he can diagnose based on what the defense is showing him probably where he's going to go with the ball before the ball's even snapped at least half the time. So that's playing into him getting the ball out of his hands as quickly as it has. He's just a quarterback who's seen it all. You're not going to trick him very much, and it's going to be a great challenge today for a Jaguar team that is last in the league with 9 sacks to pressure him to give some support to that secondary.
And he's only been sacked 10 times this season as well.
Bad combo.
He's getting it out quickly. Linebacker Joe Schobert played against Roethlisberger twice a year the last 4 seasons with the Browns. When they go off schedule is when they're really dangerous, according to the Jaguars middle linebacker.
He's very good at like the backyard, schoolyard football kind of plays where things break down, and him and his receivers have a good understanding of what to do post their initial routes, and whether they're turning up the field, whether they're coming back, and he's able to put the ball on them. And it's really hard for defenses to cover guys for more than 2, 3, 4 seconds. So he's really good at extending plays. He's been big and strong his whole career. He can move around just enough, and he's got the arm talent to be able to put the ball out there, and he's got the guts to be able to make the gutsy throws.
You mentioned some of the young guys on defense, either a game or two in the NFL, some younger guys out there in the secondary, and, well, there's some young guys up front getting time too, including defensive tackle DaVon Hamilton, who's come on strong the last few weeks, and Todd Wash likes what he sees from his rookie nose tackle.
DaVon is a big physical guy. Probably what I like the most about him is he's a gym rat. He's very intelligent. We put some stuff on his plate last week. He was able to execute it and played really well for us. So I think the sky's the limit for him. And he's getting better and better as the season goes on.
There are a few, and very few, but there are a few bright spots on the defensive side. Some guys starting to come on now just past the halfway point. Hamilton really fits into that mold.
Oh, no question. I think in terms of rookies, James Robinson's the best rookie, but in terms of rookie draft picks, DaVon Hamilton's probably gotten the most praise. Laviska Shenault has not been able to stay healthy over the last couple of weeks. The first rounders have had much more quiet seasons, and Hamilton's getting a lot of praise for his play, for his flexibility, the ability to play nose, a little bit of 3 technique, play the run, play the pass, do both up front. So, yeah, look, there have been a couple of guys. Miles Jack's had an outstanding season, and there have been others along the way that have had some good performances as well. But DaVon Hamilton, definitely a guy who's starting to kind of stand up and be noticed a little bit more from the general football media.
Now, the other side of the field, the Steelers defense, one of the top units in football. They lead the league in takeaways. They got 36 sacks this year. They hit the quarterback. They just cause issues all around. Jay Gruden on what they do very well.
They protect the edges very well with those outside linebackers. Their inside linebackers can run. Their inside defensive linemen are big and strong. Hayward's one of the best in the business at his position. Minka's doing a heck of a job of just being a ball hawk. And obviously their corners are holding up very well. So really not a lot of weaknesses there. They're sound, they're tough, they're strong, and they run to the ball.
Especially if they get a couple score lead and they can let those pass rushers loose, T.J. Watt and all the rest of them. Look out. It can get ugly.
Well, that's been the combination, right? That's why they're undefeated right now. And I think the best way to attack this team is to run it right at them. They're averaging giving up 4.3 yards a carry. They started out red hot defensively against the run this year, and they've really cooled off in that department. Not that they're bad, but they're kind of middle of the pack against the run overall. So that is your one hope with the Jags. You want to protect your own defense, keep them off the field, protect your young quarterback with a good running game, and don't make him just the target of those guys pinning their ears back.
All right, Jake Luton making his 3rd start in the NFL. He says his confidence continues to grow.
Going into my 3rd week, getting to get out there and play, I feel more and more confident every day that I get to go out to practice. Every day I get to step on the field on Sunday, and so this week will be no different. Continue to build confidence and put good stuff on tape and try to put my team in position to go win.
Yeah, and let's hope he has the time. And that's the matchup. We talked about the pass rush and the defense. We'll hear from Tony and Jeff and all those guys coming up in the second hour. The tackles, especially today, have a huge matchup against that outside linebacker and that rush and the defense of the Steelers.
They do, and I'll be interested to hear what Jeff and Tony say because I've listened to them throughout the week, and it seems like the tackles, while the offensive line has played pretty well this year overall, they've maybe fallen off a little bit in the last couple of weeks and really let them down late in the game last week as well against Green Bay, letting the pressure get to Luton. So big challenge today. It doesn't get any easier, JP, against the team with the most sacks in the NFL.
No C.J. Henderson today. We mentioned that. Yep. He's on injured reserve. D.J. Hayden is up and active, though. We'll see how he has progressed since coming off that hamstring issue early in the year. Lots of changes in the secondary and quite a challenge today for this Jags football team. The Jaguars Game Day radio broadcast is presented by VyStar Credit Union. If you believe free checking is better, join VyStar. That's checking with no fees and no minimums. No kidding. At VyStar, they never forget that it's your money. Time now for our weekly visit with the head team physician for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we're talking ribs and lungs with Kevin Kaplan of Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute.
Rib injuries and lung issues. Who would have thought lungs would have been in the conversation? But twice this season already, players in the NFL, quarterbacks, have had issues with a lung. Tyrod Taylor had an injection go a little too far, a lot too far into the lung. And then Drew Brees, broken bones on both sides in the rib. That's a lot of lung issues.
Yeah, so the lungs obviously are just deep to your chest wall, and so it's right underneath your ribs. Obviously, in Tyrod's situation, they were attempting to do an injection to numb up the area where he had a little rib injury. Sometimes you can have the cartilage just next to the rib injured, and you can inject that area. But obviously, with your lungs being right underneath there is that known risk of creating a problem. In Drew Brees' situation, he's had rib fractures. And when you have rib fractures, what can happen is the lung or part of the lung can collapse. Obviously, that's important in terms of your ability to oxygenate and get oxygen to your blood. And obviously, that's extremely important. So those are high risk situations, both of which can put a player out for a significant period of time. And probably one of the things that we fear the most in terms of missing time and being able to perform and do their normal job at one of the most important positions on the team.
When there's a collapsed lung, how do you fix that? Like, what's the remedy for it? And it's not like even on a broken rib, you can set a broken arm, but how do you fix a broken rib?
At its most extreme, and we've seen this before with traumas like car accidents and falls from height, where people fracture multiple ribs, like 3-4 ribs. You can't actually put a plate on those ribs to get those ribs to fix those ribs. Most of the injuries that we see in the NFL, though, are usually what are called non-displaced, meaning you'll see the crack, but the bones won't be out of place. Those typically just heal, and we watch that over time. In the situation of a lung, for small, what are called pneumothorax or where the lung collapses, a lot of times they can just watch those, and those will also heal on their own. If you truly have a lung that collapses completely, they can actually put in what's called a chest tube, and that can actually help the lung to re-expand or to fill in that void once again. But we don't really see that much in the NFL. I mean, typically we see the very small areas where the lungs collapse. They're still significant, and they still can become a bigger issue. But I can't tell you that I remember the last time there was a chest tube put into an NFL quarterback. So knock on wood, I hope I never see that.
Dr. Kevin Kaplan, Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. A lot of lungs in the news this year.
Yeah, look, the update yesterday was that Drew Brees has a total of 11 cracked ribs.
It's amazing. 11.
You only have 24, man. I've never heard of anyone in any circumstance having that many cracked ribs without like a piano falling on them. Honestly, that's a car wreck. You break a couple of ribs, okay, but 11, JP.
11.
Oh.
And
now you know why he's on IR.
Yeah, reports today he could be out as long as like week 15.
Well,
who knows?
Pro Football Talk made a good point. They put him on injured reserve on Friday, which means he has to miss this week, next week, and the week after. But he can't return to practice until 3 weeks from when he went on. So that means he couldn't practice in that 4th week. So it looks like he's out at least a month here, and the Saints go with Taysom Hill, at least for today. All the reports are coming out of New Orleans to get his first career start.
They paid a bunch of money to Taysom Hill.
10 out of 18 career passing for Taysom Hill. So
isn't that amazing?
It is. But they did. They paid him a lot of money. They see him every day in practice, so that's where they're going.
We're just getting started on the Publix Tailgate Show. We'll come back in a moment with Jaguars Special Teams Coordinator Joe DeCamillis. It's been an interesting special team season, let's say. We'll get his thoughts on all the kicking changes early in the year. The Jags and the Steelers coming up at 1 o'clock today. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
If you've ever been in a vehicle crash, then you know the impact caused by a collision. Now imagine the force of a crash so great, people are killed. My name is Eric. I sat behind the wheel and drove drunk. I caused a crash that killed 2 young women, Megan and Lisa. Now, I sit alone in my jail cell. Megan and Lisa were taken forever, and their families and friends were left devastated. Don't drink and drive, and remember our roadways are connected to our families.
This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Kessler Creative, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has the large format printing services running in high gear, creating large banners for marketing events, full vehicle wraps. Learn how Kessler changes the game with print and direct mail innovation. From eye-catching restaurant menus to real estate yard signs and event displays, Kessler does it all. Kessler Creative, Jacksonville, Florida. Results-driven marketing and a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Hey Jacksonville, this is Joe Adib from Bono's. I just want to let you know that we have now reopened all of our dining rooms. We appreciate all the love that you have showed us during this crisis. For over 71 years, we have been here for you through good times and bad. Our award-winning barbecue and our unbelievable staff look forward to seeing you soon. Be safe.
Hi, I'm Tito Beveridge, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Brooks Rehabilitation outpatient locations throughout Florida are currently open and accepting in-person and telehealth appointments. They're following CDC guidelines to include screenings, temperature checks, face masks, social distancing, and additional sanitizing of all surfaces. They're taking extra precautions to ensure your safety so you can focus on your recovery. Please call their central intake unit at 904-345-7277, option 3 to schedule your visit. Brooks Rehabilitation is the official rehabilitation provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars Game Day presented by ViStar Credit Union rolls along. The Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey. We're at the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio. The Steelers and the Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock today. And this portion of the Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. 6 kickers this year for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's a lot. But the last one, Chase McLaughlin, came through pretty well last week. You know, bad conditions. Just got to meet his holder and his snapper on the day before the game. And go out there and kick a 50-plus yarder, and he booted it. So, you know, at least for 1 week, we're all good at the position. But it has been there obviously a lot of turnover.
A lot of turnover. Joe DeCamillis has been in this game for a long, long time in the National Football League. He's the special teams coordinator. None of us have seen anything like that with the so many kickers in a short amount of time. Let's hear what Joe DeCamillis has to say about it.
I think it's our first visit with you this season. It's been a little busy, let's say, in the special teams world with all the changes at the kicking position early in the season. Obviously far from ideal, and I don't think we've seen anything like that in that short of a time frame, that many kickers, really in league history. How did you handle something like that week to week?
It was tough. You know, there was some outburst, I would say. There was some ways to try to relax when I was away from here, but it was tough. You know, I thought the guys that came in, you know, unfortunately some of them just weren't ready for it because of the situation the way it was. You know, some of the guys I think are going to be truly pro kickers in the league, you know, and I think hopefully the guy that's with us right now is going to be one of those.
Yeah, that's the tough part because you'll have an extra kicker usually in camp, and then in this situation you have young guys out there, guys you don't know. But how do you develop a kicker? That's tough to do when you have to go kick to develop.
Well, I think the practice squad stuff, you know, when we had the first young man, Brandon Wright, you know, we had him in training camp. We cut him, brought him back. we thought that, he was going to be a guy that would develop into a punter, kickoff guy, but at least could field goal. And, we thought that was going to be a good situation for us. But the way it worked out, he gets hurt. And then it kind of started musical chairs. And then what you found out was with the COVID, you can't necessarily bring who you want in. You can't just go sign a guy off the practice squad. Situation occurred last week where we had a guy that I've never had a guy kick field goals on Saturday because that's the day he came in. So, it's a little bit difficult, but guys are managing and everybody's dealing with something like that.
Joe DeCamillis with us. I mean, at some point, the kicker goes and kicks, right? There's not a lot of coaching that goes into that, right? Or is there?
No, but there's the problem is snapper, holder. Some guys handle that stuff differently. Some guys can just get the same snap, get the same hold, and it doesn't bother them. Some guys are not that way. And, that's where I think that the issues come in, Luckily, in my opinion, Logan's, if not the best holder in the league, he's one of the best holders in the league. And the young snapper we got really has done a good job for us there, too.
You brought up Logan Cook, and that was going to be my next guy to bring up here, not just with the holding, but the punting game, the kickoffs, and, there was a possibility he could kick placements for you. How close was that to being reality? And take us through his entire season so far in all those realms. He's really performed pretty well for you.
I mean, I think last year, in my opinion, I think he got snubbed in the Pro Bowl personally. I mean, I thought he had a Pro Bowl year, and I think he's real close to being right there with it right now. I think, when you look at his net and you look at some of the things that he's done, it's really a credit to him. Plus, he's a smart football player. You don't say that a lot about specialists, but that guy knows situations. He's extremely smart about the game of football. And, I think he's a real credit here, and I think he's going to be a guy that has a future in this league for a long time.
What would have been his long field goal try if he were to have to kick in a game if that didn't work out last week?
He can.
Just curious.
I mean, he could probably hit a 58-yarder. I mean, from a distance standpoint, he can nail it. I mean, you see him kick off. I mean, he's got that same type of talent. I mean, in my opinion, he could, if he really worked on it, he might be able to do all three for you. To be honest with you, he's just that talented. So, hopefully we don't have to have that happen.
Yeah, let's not go down that road. Joe DeCamillis with his special teams coordinator. Big punt return last week. Kelan Cole, 91 yards to the house. Blocked up very well, though, to get him down the sideline there. And that was a big boost in the game for you last week.
Yeah, you just wish that obviously you won the game. When you get one of those plays, we had a touchdown against San Diego, or the Chargers, sorry. We lost that game. You get a touchdown and you don't get a win. And then the same thing here. It's about 80% when you get one of those special teams touchdowns. So it's discouraging from that standpoint. But the guys one thing I can say about these guys is they've worked their tails off. And you watch the improvement from game one till now with some of these young guys. And it's just a shame they didn't have preseason, because I think they're rounding into a pretty solid group that plays hard, and they're starting to understand situations and things that we ask them to do.
Give us a couple guys that maybe have been under the radar on special teams, maybe on the coverage units, something like that. So places folks might not see on television a lot of times. Some guys on your special teams units that might have stood out this year, but maybe not in the stat sheet.
The two young rookies, and of course, Daniel, they both have made plays now. But I would say Daniel Thomas, and then Clay Brooks. Both those two really have started to come on and do better. Chris really started out at a rough stretch, but then he got better as the year went on. Same with Daniel. But, both of those kids, I think, are going to have futures in this league, not only in the kicking game but on defense, which obviously you want to see those guys graduate and turn into players. I would say probably the biggest surprise to me, and the one I'm most happy about, is the snapper. We made a pretty bold statement of getting a young rookie in there again for 2 years in a row. And that kid has really done a good job, knock on wood. You hate to praise him too much because of, you don't want to see something bad happen, but he's really done a good job for us.
Joe DeCamillis, special teams coordinator, has been in the NFL since 1988, I think. He started in with the Broncos, worked his way a bunch of different teams. Was here with the Jaguars before, left again. He's been back here since 2017. So it's been whirlwind early. Let's hope the kicking situation settled in. They got a block punt return for a touchdown earlier this year from Daniel Thomas. They had the punt return touchdown last week from Kelan Cole, and it feels like things are, as he said, and he made a good point. a lot of that stuff you see in preseason. You get guys out there, see if they can do certain things. Well, you haven't had that, so the early parts of the season, you're starting to figure out now, a little over halfway home for the season, who is stepping out in the special teams world.
Yeah, I thought overall the special teams were outstanding last week. I mean, the punting, the coverage, everything, the kicking we talked about, and obviously the punt return. Anytime you get a score on special teams, that's a big edge. I think the Jags, if they are to make this a fourth-quarter game today, are going to have that big edge again today on special teams.
Let's see if they can get it done today. Yeah, special teams, maybe a score. Takeaways, got to win the turnover battle.
Yeah,
and they did both last week.
They did them both, and they still didn't pull out the victory, but they did make it a game. 2 minutes ago, with the football, with a chance to win that football game.
The Jags have introduced Jags at Home. It's an interactive second screen experience on game day, and it features Ashlyn Sullivan and Eric Dunn. Each Sunday, you have a chance to win $10,000 in cash and prizes. They give it away, part of it away, at the end of every quarter on Jags at Home. So visit jagsathome.com for more information on how you can play and how you can win. When we return on the Publix Tailgate Show, CBS Sports play-by-play announcer Ian Eagle explains the longevity of Ben Roethlisberger, plus what rookie Jake Luton should try to prove in 2020. The Steelers and the Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
This football season, prepare your taste buds for the most iconic sports-watching drink of all time, Pepsi. With refreshing deliciousness specially formulated to keep your eye on the ball and mouth-watering fizziness to help you power through game day, Pepsi has everything you need to start strong.
I used to care when Mike cheered so hard he spilled nacho cheese on my carpet, but thanks to Pepsi, even Mike can't ruin my football party.
So this football season, make Pepsi your go-to game day drink because it's the only drink made for football watching. Pepsi, that's what I like.
Hey guys, I want to take a break here because I'm so excited to talk to you all about this experience Eric Dunn and I are hosting this season called Jags at Home. This thing is for anyone that could use an extra $10,000. I mean, who couldn't? And the Jaguars are actually giving away $2,500 every quarter of every game to whoever predicts the outcome of the game most accurately. Will the Jaguars convert this third down? What will be the result of this red zone trip? If you think you know football and the Jaguars, why are you letting other people take this money that should be yours? It's not like if you top the leaderboard, you have a chance to win. If you top the leaderboard, you will win $2,500 every quarter, every game. Seriously. So when you're watching the game every week, visit jagsathome.com on a mobile device, tablet, or even a desktop. And come get this money. Even better, you get to hang out with me and Eric Dunn while we chat it up during breaks. Again, that's jagsathome.com. We'll see you there.
Cecine's Office Systems helps you manage information more efficiently, offering a full line of award-winning copiers, printers, electronic document storage solutions, mailing solutions, and IT solutions. Founded in 1981, Cecine's continues to offer unmatched customer support and world-class scalable technologies to both small businesses and Fortune 500 companies. Located in Jacksonville, Daytona, Orlando, Tampa, and Gainesville, Cecine's is ready with your office solutions. Call 888-771-2679 or visit sissines.com today.
Everyone's so busy keeping up. Forget about the Joneses. We all on our telephones with the texts and the tweets and the beats. What he said, she said, can't even follow the thread. Down the hole, we all go. Me, I like keeping up too, with my Corona and my attitude. That's La Vida Más Fina.
Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer. Imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
If something's been hurting, aching, or bothering you, don't ignore it any longer. It's time to take care of your health again. It's time to make an appointment with a Baptist Health primary care doctor or specialist. Call 904-202-4U to schedule a virtual visit or see a doctor in person at a Baptist Health location. The time for better health is here. Call 904-202-4YOU or visit getbetterjacks.com.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
Welcome back, JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park Studio at TIAA Bank Field. The Steelers and the Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock, and today's game presented by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And be on the lookout today for these Publix Jaguar logoed koozies and the teal Jaguar shirts presented by Publix. That'll be around the stadium today, so check them out. Be on the lookout. You might snag you one before the Steelers-Jaguars game today. On the call of the game today, Ian Eagle, CBS Sports. He's covered a few of these Steelers-Jaguars matchups over the years. He's been with CBS since '98. But in the fairly recent history, he's covered a lot more of those games lately, including the playoff game back in 2017 as well. And his perspective is interesting. It always is, because this is a big extreme. 9-0 Steelers team. That's one of the best defenses they've had in a long time, and Roethlisberger in his prime. And the Jags trying to figure it out at 1-8, and they're not really figuring it out at 1-8 right now. So let's hear from Ian Eagle from CBS Sports to get his thoughts on the matchup today.
Week 11 is here. Can you believe it, Ian?
How did we get here, JP? It feels like a blur in many ways, and I know it's been such strange circumstances, but somehow week after week, the NFL is playing its schedule, and although it's been circuitous, here we are at week 11.
Steelers Jaguars this week. It's always a physical matchup. Regular season series tied 12-12 all time. The Jags won those 2 playoff games. How many Steelers Jaguars games have you called, just to throw it out there?
I've probably had 3 or 4 through the years. When I broke into CBS and Jacksonville was starting to ride that Tom Coughlin, Mark Brunell, Tony Baselli, Fred Taylor wave, they were getting the premier game. And a lot of times it was Greg Gumbel and Phil Simms in town, along with Armin Katayan, who was the sideline reporter, and rightfully so. They earned it. And then as the years went on, like everything, these matchups change, and where you are in the standings, Pittsburgh has been so consistent, as we know. They've probably been the most consistent team in the NFL over my 23 years at CBS. We know that New England has been the championship level team for most of that time, but Pittsburgh, truly, you know what you're going to get. There's so few dips along the way. And I find it interesting because, look, I don't take a lot out of previous matchups, certainly when the personnel changes, to look back at the divisional game that I called for CBS a few years ago and try to apply that to this Pittsburgh-Jacksonville game. You really can't, but you do know what you're going to get with the Steelers. And it doesn't matter who's wearing that uniform. They're going to play physical, they're going to play hard, and they're going to step on your throat if they have a chance to do so. Mike Tomlin, I have a lot of respect for him, for how he coaches his team, how he leads his guys, and the kind of program that they continue to run. It's been a pretty amazing stretch for this franchise. And right now they're up there with all the teams that you would talk about that could win a Super Bowl. They're in that conversation, of course, undefeated. But even beyond that, I'm not sure, JP, we've seen their offense at their best just yet. There are still explosion plays to be had. Their running game has been mediocre to subpar, and they've replaced it with a short passing game. So it's working for them. But I still think there's room to grow offensively.
You still have Big Ben pulling the trigger back there, though, and he's getting it out faster than anyone in the league this year. 2.31 seconds time to throw. Next-gen stats, Ian. We're doing that now, all that stuff. So he gets it out quickly, and he gets it out to those playmakers, and if they break a tackle, then those big plays come. But it seems like they've changed a little bit of that over the years, or over the last couple of years with Ben, considering his health issues and such. He used to hold it a lot longer, it feels like.
Yeah, I think he's gotten smarter over time. Look, he is really a fearless guy when it comes to holding on to the football, trying to create a play. He will tell you that he might be more athletic than others have given him credit for, and he is sneaky athletic in getting away from defenders and finding openings to make something happen down the field. But what I do think they've done with Randy Fichtner, with Matt Canada, the QB coach, they put some new things into play here. And there's a new mentality of, hey, you've got guys that when they catch the football, they can make it happen. It doesn't have to be the 45-yard pass downfield anymore. That was their offense with Antonio Brown, and rightfully so. Antonio was a game breaker. Their receivers are still explosive, but maybe in a different way. It's pretty incredible when you think of it. Look, there are quarterbacks that come into this league every year trying to unseat starters. And the fact that we've had this core group that could hold on to a starting job and play at a Hall of Fame level for 13 years, 14, 15, 17 years. I don't know if this is the norm or we've just grown used to it. I don't believe we're going to see this again and again. And I know there are great players that come through the ranks. There's a finite number that can play at this level, and we just happen to be at a time in the NFL where we've seen a bunch of them.
Ian Eagle with us, CBS Sports. We go from that conversation to a guy who's making his third career start in the National Football League, and Jake Luton, Jaguars quarterback. He's done some good things. He's obviously has a very limited sample size so far.
Sure.
But he's got the opportunity to prove that he deserves to be in the league in some capacity. I think that's the thing for him. His performance the last 2 weeks, and now the greatest challenge he's had so far against the Steelers defense. It's another young guy, another late-round draft pick. That's been the story around here the last couple of years.
When you're a GM in the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, you will go to your grave telling people why you made the selection that you made. And oftentimes, it's the bigger names and the higher scrutiny level of players that will curb and affect your reputation. So if I'm a talent evaluator and James Robinson emerges and you can get credit in some form for finding and discovering James Robinson, you just grapple that and put it onto your personal resume as quickly as possible. Jake Luton would qualify if he has a 10-year NFL career, even in a backup role or spot starter, as a 6th-round draft pick at quarterback. That goes on your resume. That's on there forever. So, yeah, this is a really important time for him to show that he belongs. You nailed it. Not to be a starter in this league. That'll take care of itself. If he's the real deal, eventually either the Jaguars will determine that or other teams will figure it out. First and foremost, you have to prove that you belong. And I've seen a few occasions, more than a few, JP, where a guy's been in the league at quarterback for 4 years and he's making backup money and he gets a second contract and maybe he gets a little more than backup money. And then the starter goes down and he's got to actually play. And after one game, you realize he can't do it. He can't do it. So the goal in some ways for backup quarterbacks that know deep down they're not starting quarterbacks is, hey, I'm just going to keep going on this path until somebody taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, it's over. Or if you're the guy like Jake Luton that gets the opportunity, you got to make good on it. You got to deliver to some degree. And I think in his first 2 games, he's proven with his attitude and enough of a command right now that he can handle the bigger stage. This is a different level, though. He's going against the Steeler team. They're out for blood.
Ian Eagle, CBS Sports, the Steelers out for blood today, and according to Ian there. But it is another week where you have a large difference in experience at the quarterback position, and that's going to be the case most weeks, I think.
Yeah, but particularly when you talk about 2 Hall of Fame level guys with Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger back-to-back. It's not like Jake Luton has to play against Ben Roethlisberger, but almost wish he could because, you look at that defense today, I think it brings more to the table than what Green Bay had, particularly who they had healthy and available to them last week with their secondary a little bit banged up. So, look, you want to be a quarterback in the NFL? You've gotten your wish, Jake Luton. You had one, I thought, really good start last week. Wasn't terrible, but he needs to bounce it back in the direction that he had it going against Houston a little bit this week.
For more with Ian Eagle, a podcast-only bonus material part of the interview available on the official Jaguars Podcast Network right now. Check it out. And this week's Selfies for Change player is wide receiver Kelan Cole. Take a virtual selfie with him and unlock a donation to tackle social injustice. You get started at TIAAbank.com/selfies for change. Time for our weekly visit now with Jag sideline reporter Rick Ballou, presented by McGowan's Heating and Air. We call it Has Rick Lost It?
All right, here we go. Should be an interesting one today. The Steelers' only undefeated team in the NFL. Of course, the Jags have lost 8 in a row. And I look at this franchise, and it's really unparalleled when you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. First things first, they've had 3 coaches in the last 51 years. Think about that. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and, of course, Mike Tomlin. Incredibly successful, 142-74-1. He has taken the team to 6 divisional titles, 3 AFC championship games, and a couple of Super Bowls. Actually won one, became the youngest coach to do so at the age of 36. Now, just as a refresher, 32 teams in the NFL, we get that. 54 Super Bowls. There's only 20 teams that have actually won a Super Bowl, headed up by Pittsburgh. They've won 6, along with the New England Patriots. There's also 12 teams who have never won it. There are 4 teams who have never been. You look at the Jags, the Texans, the Lions, the Browns. They've never gone. Other teams as well have never won a Super Bowl. Vikings 0-4, Bills 0-4, Falcons, Panthers, Bengals, Chargers, Oilers, Titans, the 3 teams that the Cardinals did rep in St. Louis, Phoenix, and Arizona. They have never won a Super Bowl. So what does that mean? Well, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's all that it means. They need to get back and win the Super Bowl. Believe it or not, they've only won 3 playoff games since 2010. As a matter of fact, their last playoff appearance, January of 2018, defeated in the divisional round by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So as great as 9-0 is, and as great as the Pittsburgh Steelers are, they're measured by winning Super Bowls. That hasn't happened going all the way back to 2008. So today for the Steelers, it's a big game, or is it just another game?
Has Rick Lost It? Presented by McGowan's Heating and Air, proudly keeping your family comfortable since 1974. Call 904-264-COOL. We're back in a moment, Mike. And we'll hear from left tackle Cam Robinson in our Baptist Health Connection with a Player. He catches up with Ashton Sullivan. The Steelers and the Jaguars tee it up today at 1 o'clock. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Jaguars fans, let's tackle social injustice together on game days with Selfies for Change. Visit TIAAbank.com/selfies for change to take a virtual selfie with a Jaguars player and unlock a $5 donation to the Jaguars Foundation to help fight social injustice. Share your photo on Instagram or Twitter using hashtag Selfies for Change so more fans can be part of the movement. Join us on game days at TIAAbank.com/selfies for change. TIAA Bank is the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars fans, Brian Sexton here. I've discovered something that will take your tailgates to the next level this football season. Bernie Grills. You've never seen anything like these portable all-wood grills. Bernie's are convenient, affordable, and simple to use with no messy cleanup. Bernie's real alderwood flavor makes burgers and brats taste delicious. I grilled some steaks on mine the other night, and they were incredible. So get your Bernie Grill for the next game at BernieGrill.com or at Amazon. Bernie Grill. Light. Grill. Done.
Why live with foot or ankle pain? If you have persistent pain, numbness, tingling, burning pain on the bottom of your foot, or swelling that doesn't improve with home treatment, it may be time to see Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Our foot and ankle specialists have innovative new options to help you get back in the swing of things without persistent pain that slows you down. Call JOI 2000 or go to joionline.net for an appointment.
Hey Jacksonville, this is Joe Adib from Bono's. I just want to let you know that we have now reopened all of our dining rooms. We appreciate all the love that you have showed us during this crisis. For over 71 years, we have been here for you through good times and bad. Our award-winning barbecue and our unbelievable staff look forward to seeing you soon. Be safe.
Headquartered right here in Jacksonville, the CSI Companies is one of the fastest-growing staffing firms in the nation. As a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI knows how important it is to find the right people for your team. See why some of Jacksonville's top companies choose CSI for their staffing needs. Visit thecsicompanies.com or call 800-582-0828 today. That's 800-582-0828 for the CSI Companies.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
Jaguars Game Day presented by ViStar Credit Union. The Publix Tailgate Show rolls along. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. We're at the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio at TIAA Bank Field. Steelers and the Jaguars kick off today at 1 o'clock. Crystal Restaurants remains committed to the health and safety of guests and team members. Restaurants are following strict public health guidelines and are taking extra precautions. They're staying in contact with local health officials for the latest advisories. Restaurants are now offering delivery through Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub, and Crystal's part of our game day tradition.
Yes, they are.
Crystal Chick before kickoff will get you right.
Yeah, the tradition seems to be you try to beat me to the last Crystal Chick. And, it's about 50-50 so far this year.
I don't know. Well, I'm on a roll right now, so
you're pretty hot.
I'm on a winning
strong.
streak.
Yes, you are.
Of sorts. Yes. So check out Crystal and make it part of your game day tradition as well. Check out the latest archives of all Jaguars.com and Jags radio shows on the official Jaguars podcast network presented by ViStar. Includes podcast exclusive content like the Broadcast Week in Review and the Ozone Podcast. Time now for the Baptist Health Connection with a player. This week, it's left tackle Cam Robinson with Ashlyn Sullivan.
Cam's starting quarterback Jake Luton preparing for his third start. What have you seen from him in practice, in games from the starter?
One thing that I've noticed about him is that he's extremely cool under pressure. He's never too high or too low. Well, I think the one time I saw him kind of excited was game before last when he threw his first touchdown to DJ. I saw him get a little excited for that one. That was to be expected, but he's extremely cool and composed.
All right, and I was talking to Tony Pacelli, of all people, this week about the role of an offensive lineman. And overall, you guys had a great game against the Green Bay Packers, but that last drive definitely stands out, and I know you guys would like to have that back and improve. So how hard is that mentally to shake off those mistakes and rebuild for this week?
I don't think it's too hard mentally. We know what we got to do better, and we know what we need to be better at. And we just come in each day looking to improve on those things and just looking to improve overall.
And the Steelers pass rush leads the lead in sacks, leads the lead in forced turnovers. So how have you been preparing for this? And obviously Steelers, they're a very aggressive team to play against always.
Preparing just like every other week. We always prepare extremely. We always go into every game extremely well prepared for everything we're going to see or everything we think we're going to see. So it's a good football team, but we don't overlook anyone, and we're gonna go into every week with the same preparation.
I just spoke with Will Richardson, who tried to tell me that he was the best dressed on the offensive line. Do you agree with this?
No.
Who has your vote then?
But I will say this: it's not me neither. It used to be me. I'm second now to Jawan, just because Jawan just. Some games I have to just I don't know, I always feel like I just throw on a hoodie. The one is every week. It's something designer. It's something one don't take no breaks. I can't do it every week. Sometimes I feel like putting on the hoodie and dressing down. One ain't giving no breaks, but Will, no.
Cam Robinson, fourth year, left tackle, had some knee issues obviously earlier in his career. It's a contract year for him, and this is a big game for him today against a big-time pass rush.
It's a big game. It's a big 7-game stretch right now. We don't know what the front office will look like, whether it'll be continuity or new faces, who's going to be evaluating whether or not Cam Robinson is worthy of a contract extension and how much that's going to be, because they're not cheap, man. You look at David Bakhtiari getting a 4-year deal for over $100 million from the Green Bay Packers to reset the offensive tackle market, JP. I'm not saying Cam Robinson gets top-of-the-market money, but he's a young guy in his mid-20s, and if you're going to commit to him for 3 or 4 years, there's been some talk, could he look to do a short-term deal because the salary cap is going down, maybe sign a 2-year deal at something that's reasonable, set himself up financially, and then try to hit free agency again when he's still in his 20s. It's going to be fascinating to watch this one play out for the Jags.
That's the Baptist Health Connection with a player this week, left tackle Cam Robinson. Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good. Time now for our weekly visit with Jaguars Director of Player Engagement, Marcus Pollard. He takes us inside the team each week, this time headed into Week 11.
Director of Player Engagement for the Jags and former NFL tight end, Marcus Pollard.
It's holding it down, as always.
Excitement this week for you in Week 11 as the Jags are back home to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. Always great to be with you, Marcus. And
Likewise.
Let's touch on the quarterback. Let's start there. Jake Luton will make his third consecutive start today. Last time out, the numbers weren't great, but the film might tell a little bit different story. The conditions were a little different in Green Bay. All right, 2 weeks in, what do you think of Luton?
I think Jake's doing a really good job. He had the 300-yard passing game the first game he played, and then the conditions wasn't conducive for throwing the ball for a lot of yards. But you got to look across the field. Their offense was rolling. They made plays. They stayed on the field. I think we only had 19 plays in the first half. And so it's kind of tough to show some excitement in throwing the ball and running the ball effectively when you don't have enough plays in the first half. And so hats off to Green Bay for keeping Jake off the field and being able to do some of the things he's done in the past.
Big challenge this week, of course, against the Steelers' undefeated team, but they're really, really good on defense too, especially if a team gets behind and all of a sudden that pass rush gets going. And identifying guys in the front seven will be a challenge this week, I think, for the offensive line and for Luton.
Yeah, good thing. Hopefully Brandon Lender's back today and out there playing. So that'll be a great bonus for us. He's had a couple of injuries here as of late. But having him back will definitely help against that front seven. Very tremendous pass rushers. And to me, that's the epitome of having a good team and a good defense. When you get a team down, you get a guy like Bud Dupree coming off the edge and an ability to make sacks. And then there's the other Watt kid that can come off the edge and, do some damage there as well. And so we got our hands full of somehow trying to protect Jake today and getting the ball down the field.
Marcus Pollard with us. Jaguars defense. Well, another challenge there. Ben Roethlisberger is the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers still, and they've got great weapons all around. But take us through last week's performance for this defense. It feels like the last couple weeks they've played in general better. I know it's a losing result, but there's some steps in the right direction, at least defensively, it feels like.
Yeah, definitely right, JP. Last week against Green Bay, had a few 3-and-outs there early, really got some confidence going, a pick, so you're doing those sorts of things. And so now you can build some confidence. But here we go again against another Hall of Fame quarterback with the same ability, with some weapons. And so it's going to be another challenge for our defense. Fortunately, playing at home today and not in some of the conditions that we played in last week. Hopefully we can get to Ben because we know he's going to be on the spot. We just got to get to him and get him on the ground, hopefully get the ball back to our offense and score some points.
Easier said than done. A lot of times he's a big fella. Once you get there, you have a plan, a tackling plan.
He's not a big man for no reason at all.
That's right. So some younger guys, some newer names as well, playing pretty well on defense. DaVon Hamilton stands out the last few weeks. Sidney Jones, he's not as young, but he's fairly new around here, had one of the picks last week. And in the back end, Daniel Thomas got a start last week, the rookie out of Auburn. We talked about him last week. Here he comes in and he plays pretty well. Those are three real bright spots on defense.
Yeah, three real bright spots, two of them being rookies, which bodes well for us for the future. especially DaVon Hamilton, holding down that middle, because we know that stopping the run is first and foremost in this business. And then on the back end, when you have two guys that you just mentioned, Sid and DT are playing phenomenal right now, making plays. And to me, that's what we got to have. We got to have some more those guys stepping up, making plays. I know we're extremely young, but when we can have our young guys step up and make plays, it really says a lot about what we can build in the future.
All right, 8 straight losses now. How is the vibe? Is there still energy? Is there still a push to get it going? It looks like it on Sundays, the last couple weeks at least. Yeah. That's a great sign, and I think that says a lot about the staff and everything going on inside the building.
Yeah, you mentioned that I had some juice to start the show, and to me, that's what today's about. Today's going to be about juice. You got to bring it, and I think our coaching staff and our support staff has done a tremendous job, along with our players, just keeping that vibe and trying to keep some positive juice in the building, having fun, still enjoying one another's company, but at the same time figuring out how to win a football game. And to me, that's the most important thing. Hopefully today we have some success doing that.
All right, MP, great stuff. We've got your player and coach of the week coming up, and have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Holding it down.
Marcus Pollard, former NFL tight end, director of player engagement. It is this is the time of each segment where we do the high school player and coach of the week, but it's playoff time.
Yes.
So we will not be providing the player and coach of the week this week. There will be the Whataburger High School Coach of the Year award coming up a little later in the season, and we'll present it right here.
Absolutely.
But not right now, because they're still playing playoff football in high school. Our thanks to Marcus Pollard for his time. Coming up, it's the second hour of the Publix Tailgate Show. Top headlines and first rounds on us. Our weekly visit with our resident first rounders, Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman. Steelers Jaguars at 1 o'clock. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Oi.
Bonjour.
Xin chào.
Добрый день. كيف فينا نساعدكم?
¿Cómo te podemos ayudar?
If you have an accident, the last thing you should have to worry about is a language barrier. That's why at Farah & Farah, we have a team as diverse as our clients. So no matter what language you speak, we'll fight for your voice. Farah & Farah, here for you.
نحن هون للكل.
Ici pour vous. Aquí para todos.
Here for all. Jacksonville.
Nothing kicks off your game better than a handful of Georgia peanuts. Power-packed with protein, essential nutrients, and great taste, Georgia peanuts are the MVP for affordability, sustainability, and nutrition. To score life's touchdowns with recipes and fun facts, check out GAPeanuts.com. The perfectly powerful peanut is brought to you by the family farmers of the Georgia Peanut Commission.
Peanuts! Get your peanuts!
Some things make a house your home. Like clean, fresh sheets that make a bed with the soothing scent of fabric softener your thing. When drying clothes with natural gas, you get faster, gentler drying times, save money, and earn a rebate up to $150. Your home. Our safe, reliable, efficient energy. Love natural gas. Find rebate details at peoplesgas.com.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, Built for the Holidays.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh, Dailies.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
Welcome back. Second hour of the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park Studio at TIAA Bank Field. A 1 o'clock kickoff time today for the Steelers and the Jaguars in Week 11. Today's game presented by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And if you make it in the stadium today, be on the lookout for these Publix and Jaguars shirts and or Publix Jaguars koozies that will be around the stadium today. So be on the lookout throughout the day. The Steelers-Jaguars matchup, 9-0 Pittsburgh, the last undefeated team in football. Great offense, great defense. They got everything going right. The Jaguars are 1-8. They've dropped 8 in a row now for that 1-8 record, and they've got a rookie quarterback. They've got a lot of youth on the field on defense, and they've got some injury issues, and there's a lot going on with the Jaguars right now.
Yeah, you didn't mention a lot of good things going on right
there.
There
There are some positives, but there's a lot more that's not positive.
Certainly. Look, they have been playing competitive football. That's not enough. I get it. But, it's better than it has been at times this year, and they stopped just automatically giving up 30 points a week. At least they did for a week last week. And, the weather, I think, factored into that a little bit as well. But I thought they did a solid job against the run. I think Todd Wash has been praised mostly for giving some different looks, trying to keep his guys upright, walking around a little bit before the snap, confusing the opposing team. Look, I don't know if you're going to confuse Ben Roethlisberger, but you're going to have to get to him. You're going to have to pressure him because without C.J. Henderson, who hasn't had a spectacular rookie season, but the drop-off can get pretty steep pretty quickly back there. And, you may have Claybrook starting, maybe Trey Herndon. It's good to get DJ Hayden back, but we just don't know about Sidney Jones with that Achilles. We'll find out at the bottom of the hour when the inactives are announced. So it's a challenge, JP. They're undermanned. They're not performing at a high level on the defensive side, and you're playing a passing attack that can rip you apart and really can feature any number of guys. It doesn't. You can take out one of their top guys, it won't matter because the next two are pretty much just as good. And James Washington, who's the fourth receiver, actually led the team in receiving last year. So they're pretty accomplished in that group.
Let's get to today's top stories for the Steelers and the Jaguars. Jags facing Ben Roethlisberger. Head coach Doug Marrone this week discussing the challenge for the secondary in this game.
Try to keep everything in front of you and try to make sure there's no yards after the catch. He's having a great year. I don't know he's been around for so long now, but he's playing really at a really, really high level right now. It's interesting. I think that, they're sixth in offense, but, from an explosive play standpoint, they're not as high. So I think when you just look at that right off the bat, I think the first thing you think of was how well he's distributing the football, how well he's seeing the field, his accuracy.
Yeah, they're spreading it out. He's getting it out fast and letting those playmakers do work outside.
Yeah, getting it out the fastest of any quarterback in the league. For years it was Ben Roethlisberger will hang on to that football and guys will be draped off of him. He can still make a play like that occasionally. He just doesn't as much. He's not as mobile as he used to be. He was never a runner, but he was a great guy at moving the pocket. Now it's just the quick release, pre-snap judgment on where to go with the football and exploiting matchups, and he's playing very good football. As the Steelers, really, you can't find too many flaws in their game, with the exception maybe the running game struggling a little bit. I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it has struggled a little bit the last few weeks, but they've been doing everything else pretty well on the offensive side for Pittsburgh. Let's get to the Jaguars' offense, and running back James Robinson got every carry in last week's game against the Packers. He's among the league leaders in rushing, of course, but the depth of that room has changed. Chris Thompson on IR, some other guys coming off. Jay Gruden, though, loves feeding James Robinson.
Yeah, you'd always like to sprinkle the ball around and make sure James is fresh, especially going into the fourth quarter in some of these close games. But for the most part, we're trying to establish run and be physical. We know what James can do and what he brings to the table. As long as he's healthy, as long as he's his stamina's in check, then I think he needs to get the ball. So that's the first, second down back that you expect. Now, hopefully we can spell him a little bit more. Unfortunately, Chris went out last week early in the game, Thompson. Hopefully we can spell him more with Zigbo or Dari, so we can utilize those guys as well.
You got to ride the James Robinson train, though. I mean, he's been the most positive thing really for this football team all year. He's been out there and healthy and playing well.
I laugh because Jay Gruden says you got to ride these other guys. Well, apparently you don't.
Right.
They're not getting any carries, and I understand that Zigbo's been hurt a large portion of the year, but James Robinson's been spectacular. He's among the league leaders in rushing, going to be one of, barring injury, one of 5 undrafted rookies to go over 1,000 combined yards. I mean, he is playing at an MVP level for the team. He's been the best player consistently, I think, for this team. Miles Jack has been as good, just has missed some time. Those have been the 2 best guys. I think it's clear cut, so why wouldn't you feed James Robinson?
Jake Luton making his 3rd career start, facing one of the top defenses in the league, asked if he has to find out where T.J. Watt is each play. He said it's more than just Watt on defense for the Steelers.
You can't get too caught up and focusing on where one guy is. Especially a team like this, they're good across the board. They got a lot of good players. I think we got good players too. We got guys that can go make plays, offensive line that's been blocking really well, and a running back who can run the ball really well. So, I think we have stuff to bring too. And
Watt on one side, he has 28 quarterback hits this year. And has 9 sacks, and that's second most in the league. That's just one of many up front in the front 7 for the Steelers that can get home and do some damage.
Oh, Cam Hayward on the defensive line. Tyson Alualu, the former Jag, had been having a heck of a year, not necessarily as a pass rusher, but really helping their run defense, and had been banged up a little bit recently, but he's healthy now. And Bud Dupree, I think both the safeties, they'll blitz and come off the edge, and they're both very effective at that. So they come from a lot of different angles, JP, and they're good at doing it, and that's why they have 36 sacks, which is the league best right now.
Kelan Cole, Jaguars wide receiver, broke out with a big game last week. Touchdown catch on offense and a 91-yard punt return for a touchdown. He was asked this week if he wanted to be around Jacksonville long term.
When it comes to being in Jacksonville, I'm not really a party guy or anything, and apparently Jacksonville doesn't have that. I feel very good here. I like the warm weather. Hate the cold. Shout out to Green Bay. Yeah, I like the warm weather. I like being here. I like being a Jaguar. I'd rather be a Jaguar than a Falcon or like a bird or something. You know what I'm saying?
That's Kelan Cole with an interesting thought there. Apparently doesn't like birds. Okay.
Hey, I'd like him to stay a Jaguar as well if it makes financial sense for the team. He's had a really, really nice year. We only have 3 receivers under contract heading into 2021. And is he just finding this out? He goes, apparently Jacksonville's not a big party town. He says that after 3+ years of living it. So, yeah. It's not on the scale of, let's say, a Las Vegas or a New York. I would agree with that, Kelan.
What would you he's a 3rd receiver, right?
I think so for this team. I mean, you envision DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault having very prominent roles on this football team. And I don't put it out of the realm of possibility, JP, that the team drafts a wide receiver that pushes everyone one spot down the depth chart as well, particularly if you do draft a quarterback high. Yeah. You want to give him his best set of weapons as possible. So that's a difficult thing. Kelan Cole's been really good for this team, but I think ideally he's no more than your 3rd receiver and maybe even your 4th. What does he see for himself financially? What do the Jags see? Again, same with Cam Robinson, same with Sidney Jones. These are 3 guys I'm interested in the Jags retaining, but it's got to be at the right price.
And then Cole pretty much disappeared about a year and a half.
Correct.
And then this year he's come back and played very well. If he can play at this level, then yes, there's a bright future,
sure.
I think. There you have it. Some of today's top stories. The Jaguars Game Day radio broadcast is presented by ViStar Credit Union. If you believe no car payment for 90 days is better, join ViStar, a standard feature on new or used car loans, and ViStar never forgets that it's your money. Time now for our weekly visit with the guru, David Lamb, with Lamb at Large.
Thanks, guys. Here are a few of my thoughts about the Jaguars as they get ready to play the unbeaten Steelers today. Check. I do believe in moral victories. When a big underdog, particularly on the road, has a chance to win on the last possession, that's a moral victory. Isn't getting better every day the goal of every team? That's what the coaches and players all say. Okay, Mike, I know you don't believe in moral victories. Look at it this way. At least the Jaguars haven't been punching bags the last 2 weeks. Like a lot of people, I was shocked when the Jaguars got rid of their best player, defensive lineman Calais Campbell. or a fifth-round draft pick from the Ravens. Before Calais was recently injured, he was playing well. No surprise there. Meanwhile, the Jaguars have no one consistently breaking down the pocket or getting sacks. I think you can now label Taven Bryant a bust. Good for Coach Marrone. I was glad to see him let his emotions pour out after last week's loss at Green Bay. I can't imagine what it's like to lose 8 straight games. It obviously was eating Marrone up inside. Sure, he spewed a few profanities. It happens. The media boys and girls, they can just bleep them out. Maybe getting his pinned-up frustrations out will make Marrone a better coach. Right now, DJ Shark is the Jaguars' only legitimate Pro Bowl candidate, unless some of the linemen are grading out well and we haven't been told. Where are the tight ends? The Jaguars keep bringing them in and still almost no production on third down or in the red zone or anywhere else. Few teams win without a dependable tight end, and the Jaguars haven't had one since Kyle Brady. I'm not forgetting about Mercedes Lewis. Tyler Eifert can't stay healthy. Ditto for James O'Shaughnessy. The team has 4 tight ends on the roster, 1 on injured reserve, and 1 on the practice squad. If it were my call, Gardner Minshew would be back under center when he's healthy and prepared. Rookie Jake Luton has had his moments in his 2 starts. He does have a stronger arm than Minshew, but Minshew is more creative and can turn bad plays into good plays. That means first downs. I haven't given up on Minshew mania. Before I'm going to see undrafted rookie James Robinson as the answer at running back, I want to see him perform better in short yardage situations. Well, there you go, guys. That's what's on my mind today.
The comments of David Lamb, a weekly feature of the Publix Tailgate show, and he brings up a point there that at some point Gardner Minshew is going to be healthy again, and there will be a decision to be made down the stretch.
Yeah, there will, and it will depend on how the team already feels about him. Do they already feel that he's not the long-term answer at quarterback, and they want to give Jake Luton a half a season to show what he can be and, you know, put himself in a position to maybe be the primary backup for the team next year? It depends on how he plays as well, and it depends on the level of competition. Like if he plays like he played last week, but you're doing it against Pittsburgh, who's undefeated, has a fantastic pass rush, how much are you going to hold that against him? You know, all these things have to be weighed in. One thing I don't need to see more of is James Robinson, to know that James Robinson's the keeper. I mean, I don't need to see more effective in short yardage. I mean, are we splitting hairs or what? This guy's been the best player on the team, certainly the best player on offense by a wide margin. He's among the league leaders in a number of categories. I don't know how much. What else does James Robinson have to do? Go back in the draft and get picked in the second round? I really don't know what else he could do to show you that he belongs in this league.
He's off to a great start, for sure.
He is that.
When we return, First Rounds on Us, our weekly visit with our resident first-rounders, Tony Baselli and Jeff Lagerman, the Steelers and the Jaguars at 1 o'clock. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
At Jacksonville International Airport, the health and safety of travelers is their #1 priority. They're doing everything they can to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, from adhering to CDC cleaning guidelines, requiring facial coverings in the terminal, and encouraging social distancing at every point of the airport experience. For a comprehensive look at what the airport, airlines, and their shops, restaurants, and rental cars are doing to keep passengers safe, please visit jacksairportcares.com to learn more.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
If something's been hurting, aching, or bothering you, don't ignore it any longer. It's time to take care of your health again. It's time to make an appointment with a Baptist Health primary care doctor or specialist. Call 904-202-4U to schedule a virtual visit or see a doctor in person at a Baptist Health location. The time for better health is here. Call 904-202-4YOU or visit getbetterjacks.com.
Everyone's so busy keeping up.
Forget about the Joneses. We all on our telephones with the texts and the tweets and the beats. What he said, she said, can't even follow the thread. Down the hole, we all go. Me, I like keeping up too, with my Corona and my attitude. That's La Vida Más Fina.
Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer. Imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio at TIAA Bank Field. The Publix Tailgate show continues ahead of today's Steelers-Jaguars matchup. Kickoff time set for 1 o'clock. Time now for First Rounds on Us.
New York Jets, first round choice. Jeff Lageman.
The Jacksonville Jaguars have selected tackle Southern California, Tony Baselli.
Only way to the top is looking out for number one. And that's us. Keep looking out for number one.
We head to the broadcast booth for the first time today and welcome in our resident first-round picks, Jeff Lageman and Tony Baselli, the analysts on Jaguars Radio. Good morning, guys.
Morning, JP. What is up, JP?
Week 11 is up. 1 o'clock kickoff time today for the Steelers and the Jags. Steelers at 9-0, you might have heard. The Jags are 1-8. They've dropped 8 in a row. I guess I'll start with the matchup against the Steelers offense today. Ben Roethlisberger, of course, 17-year pro. They've got playmakers outside. The Jaguars' defense has some secondary issues today. C.J. Henderson's on IR. Sidney Jones is questionable for the game. We'll find out in about 12 minutes whether he's up or down or not. Then you got some other young guys out there playing on the back end, and a guy like Daniel Thomas. That's a lot of youth against a lot of experience on the Steelers offense.
Yeah, and JP, I heard that Ben Roethlisberger has a pretty fast release too, huh?
It's quick, fastest in the league. Quick.
This is a tough matchup, and I don't care how you look at it. I mean, you got a quarterback that has many, many years under his belt against a defense that has a lot of inexperience, and backups playing in the secondary today, and that's not the matchup that you want. And the reality is that the Pittsburgh Steelers have 3 wide receivers. They are a 3 wide receiver offense. And I would not put it past them if they ended up going 4. And in reality, they could be considered 4 because Eric Ebron is the tight end, but he plays the game mostly as a wide receiver. So this is going to be a track meet of sorts today for the Jaguars defense. And when you're missing guys, it's never a perfect situation. And also when you're not generating a lot of pass rush.
Well, Jeff, I will disagree slightly with you. I think it is 100% a 4 wide receiver offense without Ebron. If you look at the 4 guys they roll out there and they rotate through, and the rookie Chase Claypool maybe being the best or most explosive right now.
Did you just see him running around, by the way?
Yeah, he looks pretty good.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, I mean, you got Juju Smith-Schuster, you have Deontay Johnson, and James Washington. That's 4 guys that they can spread you out with backups in the secondary for the Jaguars today, and not knowing who your best corner so far this year has been Sidney Jones, the way he's played. And he's questionable.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys happen to see, but Mike Tomlin had a press conference this week where he talked about how, because they have only rushed for 138 yards in the last 3 games combined, about how we need to get back to running the football. Well, you do,
and you don't.
But not this week. Okay, I mean, if you're going to take advantage of a great matchup, I mean, the matchup this week is to throw the football. against the Jaguars secondary that's depleted and it's young. I mean, so I'd probably hold off on that game plan about running the ball with James Conner a whole lot until maybe next week.
You know, and listen, as an offensive lineman, there's not a bigger proponent for running the ball and establishing the run.
Yeah? Where you at?
I would spread us out and throw it every time.
Well, guys, with that, the Jags also last in the league with only 9 sacks. So if you're Todd Wash, what are you trying to do today to create some pressure to help out that battered secondary?
Playing a lot of zone.
You have to.
Yeah, I mean, playing a lot of zone, keeping everything in front, trying to prevent the big play. And, I mean, there's really nothing more that you can do. I mean, keep guys back and have a long conversation with Jared Wilson and Daniel Thomas and maybe Brandon Rusnak or Andrew Wingard, whoever's playing reps at the secondary safety position, and say, hey, look, you know, we're not looking to make the giant play. We're looking to make sure that everything stays in front and we're making tackles. Because if you try to be aggressive with this Pittsburgh team, I think it would be a recipe for disaster, to be perfectly honest with you. You got to hope that somehow, some way, you can make them make a mistake, whether you force them to make a mistake or you hope that they make a mistake on their own.
Well, you need one of those games, Jeff, where Ben Roethlisberger throws like 3 interceptions and you get a pick 6.
Yeah, and that's what you hope for.
That's what you got to get. And right now he's playing so well, and really what they're doing, everything's this underneath stuff. The ball's out of his hands. He's being smart. It's a bunch of pre-reads before the snap. He knows where he wants to go. And more than ever than I've seen in Big Ben's career, he's letting the game come to him instead of trying to force things.
Yeah, he's having a good year. He's protecting the football. He's confident. You know, listening to Todd Wash talk this week, he talked about how fast the ball comes out. And Todd said, you know, that he's so comfortable and that he clearly knows what he's doing. And, I mean, after 17 years, you ought to be that way. But what's amazing to me is that, you know, every week we delve into all the stats and the information and we watch film. And, Tony, how often is it that you come across a stat where you have a guy like Ben Roethlisberger who just finished his 17th consecutive non-losing season? I mean, that's an amazing stat by itself about a guy. He's never had a losing season in his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers, large part because of his performance, but also just because of the Steelers themselves.
Well, but he is a huge part because, Jeff, think about this team last year. It's pretty much outside of Chase Claypool. It's pretty much the same offense they had last year, but he goes down with the tricep injury. They thought it might be career-ending. He has to rehab. He does come back. But it was a offense who struggled to move the ball at all with all the weapons that they had. Enter him back in after major surgery, 17 years.
And a year which he didn't have the offseason to kind of work his way back.
And he's leading the only undefeated team in the NFL. It's really remarkable, and it speaks a lot to Ben Roethlisberger.
All right, guys, let's flip it around now. This matchup against the Steelers defense is certainly a tough one, one of the top units in the NFL this year. They lead the league in sacks. They take the ball away, 16 defensive takeaways, another on special teams. They hit the quarterback more than anybody.
There's a long list, JP, where they're number one.
There's only so much time, so I can only go through a few of them. Let's start, though, Tony, with something we talked about on the show this week. The matchup today for the Jaguars tackles. They have to play well for this offense to do much of anything, it feels like.
And before I get specifically to those two, JP, and you're right, is the one, and I heard Mike bring this up earlier in the pregame show, and he's dead on. They give up an average of 4.3 yards per carry defensively. They started off really strong, but the last couple weeks have been a little bit leaky, and I think this is a game, again, where James Robinson's going to have to carry the load, and you're going to have to try to get some run game going to stay ahead of the sticks, because if you get into a situation where the Steelers know you're passing the ball, then the matchup that I don't think any of us are crazy about right now, especially how the two tackles finished the game last week against Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, and what's the other cat's name? I can't even think of his name right now. Rashawn Gary, where they really struggled. You have T.J. Watt on one side, and you have Bud Dupree on the other side. Two outstanding pass rushers, the better of those two being T.J. Watt. He's an outstanding rusher. He has speed. He has power. He's an every down player, and he is a handful. And Jawan Taylor has to buckle it up tight today, and you better have your technique right. You better set with a little bit of width, because if you have the soft edges like they did last week, both Cam Robinson and Jawan Taylor, boy, they're going to squeeze the pocket, they're going to bend the corner, and it's going to be a long day for this offense.
Yeah, and it's not just about the tackles either. I mean, JP, I know you mentioned the tackles because last week it was clearly a blemish at the end of the ball game in which you had an opportunity to win it, and the tackles didn't perform. But it goes deeper than that with Pittsburgh, with Cameron Hayward kicking inside, Stephon Tuitt kicking inside when they go to nickel. And those two guys are big, they're strong. I think Norwell's playing pretty well. A.J. Cann gave up a little pressure last week that resulted in a batted ball that could have been a house call for Kelan Cole. That was disappointing to see. But those two guys in the middle for Pittsburgh, big, strong, tough, can rush the passer too. And even though Cameron Hayward only has 2 sacks, I mean, he's finished up over the last couple of years having like 8, 9, and 10 sacks. And he does. He pushes the pocket extremely well. So this is a challenging game, and not the type of game that you want to have a rookie making his 3rd career start in.
The one thing, though, Jeff, I'll say about, and you brought up Norwell, I think he is playing well, and I think he's played well the last couple of years. He's been highly criticized because he has the big salary and everything else. But if you watch his play on tape, I think he's done a good job, and I think that's a good matchup, him and Cam Hayward. I think you'll have 2 top guys going at it, and I expect that to at least be a draw for the Jaguars. I think Norwell will be able to handle his own against Cam Hayward.
So, guys, based on what you've seen now out of Jake Luton for the last 2 weeks, assuming the Steelers do apply some pressure, how do you think he'll handle it today?
I think he's going to handle it really well. I think that's the one thing about Jake Luton so far that has impressed me is how he's handled everything. The offense doesn't make the false starts. It doesn't have where they have to call a timeout because they're not lined up correctly. The offense operates like there's a veteran at the helm, and I think that's impressive. And then when Jake Luton gets under pressure, it's not like he has panicky moments. And when I say by panicky moments, in that he actually buys time and moves around the pocket very well. He escapes the pocket and the pressure, but his eyes continue to remain down the field, which is exactly what we weren't seeing with Gardner Minshew. So for me, I like the way he's progressing. I think last week you give him a little bit of a pass with the windy conditions that he was in because he flat out missed some throws. But I think you continue, as long as he continues to get better, you keep him in there, and then you let him face a tough opponent like this, and you grade him on a curve because it's a great defense, and then you keep moving forward. But I think he's going to handle it fine, but Pittsburgh's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll say this, Mike, about Jake Luton. You know, everyone talked about, he had the great performance against Houston, and and a lot of the talk this week is, well, he went backwards against the Packers. I didn't see it that way. Because if you watch the Packers game, and yes, Jeff's right, he missed some throws, it was windy and everything else, but I thought his composure in a tough situation against a good football team when the game's on the line and he's, the pocket's collapsing, he was never rattled. His eyes never came down looking at the rush. You never felt like there was a panic in him. And so I think that spoke really, to me, highly about him. And I do expect him – I'm not expecting huge numbers because I think the Steeler rush is going to be tough. But I think he has proven that he deserves another chance this week, and I think probably in the near future he probably should be the quarterback.
All right, there you have it, our discussion with Jeff Lageman and Tony Baselli. First rounds on us. Up next in the Publix Tailgate Show, inactives, and then Frank Frangie joins us. It's time for the Geico Fantasy Outlook. The Steelers and the Jaguars coming up at 1 o'clock. And from TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio. Headquartered right here in Jacksonville, the CSI Companies is one of the fastest growing staffing firms in the nation. As a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI knows how important it is to find the right people for your team. See why some of Jacksonville's top companies choose CSI for their staffing needs. Visit thecsicompanies.com or call 800-582-0828 today. That's 800-582-0828 for the CSI Companies.
Hi, I'm Tito Beveridge, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Hey guys, I want to take a break here because I'm so excited to talk to you all about this experience Eric Dunn and I are hosting this season called Jags at Home. This thing is for anyone that could use an extra $10,000. I mean, who couldn't? And the Jaguars are actually giving away $2,500 every quarter of every game to whoever predicts the outcome of the game most accurately. Will the Jaguars convert this third down? What will be the result of this red zone trip? If you think you know football and the Jaguars, why are you letting other people take this money that should be yours? It's not like if you top the leaderboard, you have a chance to win. If you top the leaderboard, you will win $2,500 every quarter, every game. Seriously. So when you're watching the game every week, visit jagsathome.com on a mobile device, tablet, or even a desktop, and come get this money. Even better, you get to hang out with me and Eric Dunn while we chat it up during breaks. Again, that's jagsathome.com. We'll see you there.
Jaguars fans, Brian Sexton here. I've discovered something that will take your tailgates to the next level this football season. Bernie Grills. You've never seen anything like these portable all-wood grills. Bernie's are convenient, affordable, and simple to use with no messy cleanup. Bernie's real alderwood flavor makes burgers and brats taste delicious. I grilled some steaks on mine the other night, and they were incredible. So get your Bernie Grill for the next game at BernieGrill.com or at Amazon. Bernie Grill. Light. Grill. Done.
Every 51 minutes, someone dies in a drunk driving crash. If you think it can't happen to you or that your actions won't affect others, think again. I got behind the wheel drunk and caused a crash that took the lives of 2 young women. Before you drink, have a plan and know all your options. One bad decision can last forever. Take it from me, Eric, prison inmate P22679.
This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hanania Subaru of Orange Park studio at TIAA Bank Field as the Publix Tailgate show continues. Steelers Jaguars at 1 o'clock. Today's game presented by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Let's get to the inactives for today's game. Here are the players down for the Jags today. Laviska Shenault Jr. was ruled out earlier on Friday with a hamstring issue, will not play today. Gardner Minshew was questionable officially. He is out with his thumb injury. Sidney Jones was questionable with an Achilles issue. He is inactive today, the cornerback. Linebacker Quincy Williams is out. Casey McDermott, the offensive lineman, inactive. James O'Shaughnessy, not available. He's inactive today. And Tyler Davis, the tight end, also inactive for the Jaguars today. So C.J. Henderson on IR at corner. Sidney Jones is inactive and not available at corner for the Jags today.
Should be no problem.
Okay, then.
Chase Claybrooks, good luck to you, sir, out there today. You'll get a baptism by fire. For the Steelers, 5 official inactives, JP, including former Jaguar quarterback Josh Dobbs will not be suiting up. Running back Trey Edmonds, fullback Trey Edmonds will not be playing today, nor will Jalen Samuels, another running back. Jaron Elliott, one of their backup linebackers, and backup defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs among the other inactives for the Steelers.
There you have it, inactives for today's Week 11 matchup, the Steelers and the Jaguars. It's time now for the Geico Fantasy Outlook. Great news. There's a quick way you could save money. Switch to Geico. Go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more on car insurance. We go back to the booth. Tony and Jeff back with us. We welcome in Frangie for the first time today. And Mike, where do we stand in fantasy?
Well, Tony Baselli will have the last pick in the draft this week because he had the most points last week, although it wasn't enough to pull him out of last place overall right now. It wasn't a big scoring week for anybody. 51 points for Tony with 32 from Ben Roethlisberger leading the way. Jeff Lageman had 50. Frank had 48. I had 45. And, JP, you fell out of first place after a 33-point week. You got caught up with Drew Brees, only scoring you 7.
17 broken ribs.
Right, he has more broken ribs than he got you fantasy points last week. So here's where things stand heading into Week 11. Jeff back on top with 565. JP, you have 549. I'm at 542. Frank's at an even 500, and Tony Baselli at 491. The order today is JP, myself, Frank, Jeff, and Tony. We take a quarterback, running back, and either a wide receiver or a tight end It is point per reception scoring, and you can only use every player once all year long. So if you've used them before, you can't use them again. If anyone takes a player, no one else can have them in that week. So, JP, the board is yours.
I am so conflicted right now because I know where I want to go, but I'm going to catch so much flack if I went there that I just can't deal with it.
Okay.
I'm not going to deal with it.
Don't want to deal with the flack.
So I'm going to leave the Steelers quarterback on the shelf, not going with him. But, boy, that's probably the play. Give me Taysom Hill. I'm going to roll the dice. Taysom Hill.
Oh, my goodness.
Guys laugh now.
Yeah, I kind of have him high, too.
See if you'll be laughing in 3.5 hours or 4.5 hours.
Go ahead and pick Ben then, Tony. Go ahead.
I can't. I picked him last week. Otherwise, I would.
Would you? Maybe I should take him right here. I will take Keenan Allen. Frank, you're up.
I'll take Justin Herbert to throw to it.
Okay. I've already used him. Jeff?
I will take, give me Nick Chubb.
Chubb. All right, Tony, you get 2 picks here.
I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes and Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay. Back to you, Jeff.
For me?
Quarterback or a pass catcher? Yep.
I will take, give me Julio Jones.
Okay. Frank, you need a running back or a wide receiver here?
How about Derrick Henry?
Henry? All right. I will take Dalvin Cook. Last one to use him. JP, you get 2 picks.
Give me Kelsey, tight end, and give me Chris Carson.
Chris Carson. That's going to be
a
tough blow for JP.
Is he out?
He's
He's
in. Your lineup is where he is.
Oh, no.
You realize they played on Thursday night, right?
No, I did not.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the game.
That may be the break.
Can I pick another one?
No.
All right.
No.
All right. The peanut gallery, because the rule is you can pick
No,
anybody
you can
whose
pick
game
another
hasn't
one.
kicked
Yeah,
off.
that's on me.
So
That's on me. I
pick
totally
another
riffed
one.
on
Pick
that.
another one, they're telling
Miles
me.
Sanders.
All right, Miles Sanders.
Thank you.
Yes, if it hadn't been a Thursday night game, I think you were stuck with him right there. And, boy, I really wanted Mahomes or Taysom Hill, or you guys took all my quarterbacks. So am I forced to do this here?
Oh, you're not blowing, Mike. Go ahead.
I'm taking Ben Roethlisberger. There you go. I did it. Frank, take a pass catcher.
I feel like he's not
You
getting
know what?
the heat that I would have gotten.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm not taking Smith-Schuster either, so I'm going to take Terry McLaurin, please.
It's Juju's birthday, by the way.
I know. I'll take Terry McLaurin for me.
All right, Terry McLaurin.
I feel like nobody gave Mike heat for that. I would have gotten so much heat for picking Ben first overall.
Yeah, I'm less of a threat. I'm right in the middle of the pack this year. So, Jeff, you need a quarterback.
I'll take David Carr.
David Carr. I'd probably go with his brother Derek, but you do you.
You got David Carr. That's a tough one.
I mean, Derek.
No. You said David. You
the
said
Carr
David.
guy.
He's good. You're good. You're good. Tony,
I got the last
need
name
your pass
right.
catcher here.
I'm gonna go Tyreek Hill.
All right.
Man, you had him still?
Yeah.
It's a nice combo there with Mahomes. All right, here's
Wow.
what we got. JP's got Taysom Hill, Miles Sanders, Travis Kelce. I've got Ben Roethlisberger, Dalvin Cook, Keenan Allen. Frank goes with Justin Herbert, Derrick Henry, Terry McLaurin. Jeff goes with Derek Carr, Nick Chubb, Julio Jones. And Tony has Patrick Mahomes, Ezekiel Elliott, and Tyreek Hill. So a lot of big name value there. Guys, good luck in Week 11.
All right, there you go.
The Geico Fantasy Outlook is in the book. We'll hear from Tony and Jeff coming up on Countdown to Kickoff on the Jaguars Radio Network inside 12 o'clock, coming up in just a little bit. Time now for the Frank Frangie File. We visit longer with Jaguars play-by-play man Frank Frangie, and here we go. Steelers and the Jaguars, Frank. And the tough matchups just keep on coming, it feels like.
JP, I thought about this all week long, and Henderson being down and Sidney Jones not playing kind of changes this a little bit. But I do believe, and maybe I'm reaching a little bit, but I do believe there's something to a team playing another team tough. I'm not just saying that, I believe that. And I think for whatever reason, when these two logos meet, the Jags play well. I think there's something to that. I'm not saying, okay, well, they're going to win the game today, but I think there's something to that, JP. So now, with all these matchups, Ben playing better than he's ever played. I heard you talk to Tony and Jeff about that, and I agree with that. And the Steeler and the Jaguar secondary being young and beat up, which makes it younger, certainly is a concern. But we'll see. I love it when these two teams play. There have been some really good games, some tough-nosed games. The Steelers in 26 games against the Jags have only gone north of 30 points one time, and that was when the Jags won 45-42 in the playoffs. So the Jags have played well against them. We'll see what happens.
You know, Frank, even if they didn't have those recent results go against them, Pittsburgh, I don't think they're overlooking this game. There's been so much talk this week about is this a trap game that it kind of forced the game to be on their radar. I know they play Baltimore coming up on Thanksgiving. That's, in the big scheme of things, a more important game for them. But this team is also off to the best start in franchise history, and I think they want to keep that run going.
No, I hear that. And they've never been 10-0, and they had never been 9-0. And I agree with that. And Tomlin and Roethlisberger, the two key personalities on that sideline, Mike, to your point, are stinging from what happened 3 years ago. There's no question. Ben Roethlisberger threw 5 interceptions against this team. He knows that. And so if there's one thing that will keep them focused, it is that. But again, we'll see. I think there's something about a team that's, I don't want to say not scared of another team, because nobody in the NFL is scared of each other. But the Jags, over the years, since 1995 when they first beat the Steelers in that first year, a Super Bowl Steeler team, by the way, the Jags have, for whatever reason, not backed down when these two teams play. And that, to me, is what makes this thing intriguing. It really does.
Jake Luton, third start. What do you want to see in terms of progression from him today?
You know what, JP? It's going to be interesting because the Steelers come from so many areas. They lead the league in sacks. They lead the league in pressures. They lead the league in quarterback hits. And they do it a multitude of ways. You never know if Watt or Dupree are coming or if they're dropping. And so they're very multiple in how they get after the passer. I want to see him hang in the pocket. I want to see him not rattled by the most unusual and difficult thing he's going to face all year. This is the hardest thing he's going to face because of a team that leads the league in all of that and can come at you from that many ways. I agree with what Tony was saying to you earlier. He's hung in the pocket. He's not seemed rattled. He hasn't looked like he wasn't there before. You know what I mean, JP? He's not looked like a guy that has never done this before. That to me speaks volumes about him. Stay in the pocket. Hit some balls down the field, see what happens. I want to see him look like he's looked, and I think I'm encouraged. By the way, I don't think he played badly last week. I think what happened last week is he made some bad plays. The wind was howling from what everybody tells us. Talking to people that are on the sidelines, they said you can't imagine how much it was blowing. I think Jake's played pretty well, and I'll bet he plays okay today.
So, Frank, for the defense for the Jaguars, they're not getting the quarterback. Nobody's getting to Pittsburgh quarterbacks or Ben Roethlisberger, right? They're not getting sacked very much. The Jaguars are beat up in the secondary, very young back there. What's your approach? Are you trying to throw some things at him to heat Ben Roethlisberger up, or are you trying to mix up your coverages? You're not going to, I don't think, trick him that much, but what's the approach on defense?
I think if it's me, and look, Tony and Jeff have forgotten more football than I'll know, okay? But if I was drawing up this game plan, whether you like it or not, and it's not what fans want to hear and even players, I would probably play soft, Mike. I would probably not let anybody get over the top because their receivers are so good. What you don't want to do is they hit a couple big ones and you look up and you're down 21-3. That's what you don't want. So I don't know that I'd be blitz heavy. I'd probably cover soft. I think there'd be a lot of cover two and back those safeties up. And what I wouldn't want is them to throw it over the top a bunch. I think if you come after Ben Roethlisberger, he's been so good at getting the ball out this year that I think that's danger. Now, you got to mix it up. You got to blitz some, and you got to be aggressive some. And the Jags have been better in the last couple weeks when they do that blitz, Mike, where no one put their hands on the ground and all 11 guys are standing up and you don't know who's coming. And that's been effective, so I'd like to see some of that. But I think what you can't do is let one of those guys get behind you 2 or 3 times. And now Jake Luton's playing uphill the entire game. That, I think, would be a tough go for the Jags.
Frank, have a great call today.
Okay, fellas, thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Frangie joining us for the Frangie File, the play-by-play voice of the Jaguars radio network. We're back in a moment. John Oehser joins us. And remember, this season, the Jags have launched predictive gaming in the Jags mobile app. Choose a bingo card, pick your favorite 3 players, and place wagers to win prizes. Check them out now on the mobile app. John Oehser, when we come back, network coverage at noon with countdown to kickoff. Week 11 coming up, the Steelers and the Jaguars, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
The best way to feel love is to share it. At Hanania Subaru of Orange Park, we always go the extra mile with bigger selection, more savings, our best service. Only Subaru of Orange Park gives you a nationwide lifetime warranty and 1-year complimentary maintenance on new and used vehicles. Plus, when you get a new Subaru during the Subaru Share the Love event, Subaru will donate $250 to your choice of charities. At Hanania Subaru of Orange Park. Online at SubaruofOrangePark.com. See dealer website for full details.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oi, bonjour. Xin chào.
Добрый день.
¿Qué فينا نساعدكم? ¿Cómo te podemos ayudar?
If you have an accident, the last thing you should have to worry about is a language barrier. That's why at Farah & Farah, we have a team as diverse as our clients. So no matter what language you speak, we'll fight for your voice. Farah & Farah, here for you.
نحن هون للكل. Ici pour vous. Aquí para todos.
Here for all. Jacksonville.
In Florida, bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as everyone else on the road. So when you ride, follow the rules. Always wear a helmet and use lights on your bike. And drivers, watch for cyclists. Give them space to ride. And don't forget, when making that right on red, look to your right first to see if a cyclist is approaching in the bike lane. We all have a responsibility to keep ourselves and each other safe. Alert today, alive tomorrow. Because safety doesn't happen by accident. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Floridians know what it means to stand together. That's why Florida Blue is committed to the people of Florida by providing health care with lower costs and higher quality. Enroll within 60 days of life-changing events, such as losing your job, to get benefits like plans as low as $0 a month and up to $500 per year towards your premiums and wellness rewards. Call 1-800-750-0164 or visit floridablue.com/care today. Florida Blue is a trade name of Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Florida, Incorporated. These health benefit plans have limitations and exclusions.
Bold statement. Saving money with Geico is almost better than watching football. Think about it. When you're watching the game, yelling at the quarterback to throw the ball, throw it, Williams is wide open, why are you doing this to me? Use that rocket arm, come on! They don't listen to you. But if you went into a Geico office and yelled, "Someone please help me save some money on car insurance," everyone would hop to it. Except the intern, because it's his first day and he doesn't even have a computer yet. See? Better. Switch and save with Geico. It's almost better than sports.
Final moments of the Publix Tailgate Show. Steelers Jaguars at 1 o'clock, and today's game presented by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And time now for our traffic update presented by Geico. Saving you money on car insurance has been in Geico's playbook for over 75 years. So what are you waiting for? After the game, get a quote at geico.com. And because of the socially distanced nature of things these days, there aren't a lot of game-related traffic issues. Yet again, the Hart Bridge is down to one lane when you're coming inbound, and you have to get over into the right lane because the left lane doesn't exist anymore. Once you get on the city side of the bridge, you're kind of forced that way. So get over to the right side early if you can. The Main Street Bridge fairly clear as well. There will be a little traffic closer to game time right around on Gator Bowl Boulevard, right around the stadium, just because of the way things are set up now. But, hey, traffic is not a huge concern. At least it has not been this season.
We don't get many perks because of COVID-19. But, just ease of transport has been one of them. You want a full stadium, obviously.
Yes.
You want the ability for all the fans to be able to come out and enjoy Jaguar football. But if you are coming to and fro, things are pretty rapid these days.
Time now for a visit with the Ozone.
The Ozone.
Jaguars.com senior writer John Ozier joins us from the broadcast booth here at TIAA Bank Field. And good morning, John. What's up?
So you're saying that steep new off-ramp is still the major traffic issue?
Yeah, right.
All right, I got you.
Don't take the left there.
Yeah, I haven't taken that one yet.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. The gravity always wins. So this matchup, obviously, John, really tough today. 9-0 Steelers. They've got everything going, offense, defense. The Jags are a young team that has some injury issues. They are 1-8. They've dropped 8 in a row, and that's what it is today. It's a tough matchup.
Well, the good news, I mean, I don't know what the good news is, JP. I mean, we talked all week about the matchup, and on Tuesday when we talked about the matchup, you said, boy, Ben Roethlisberger is really good and the Steelers receivers are really good, and now you lost 2 corners since then. C.J. Henderson and now Sidney Jones being out, so you're going – with Chris Claybrooks and Trey Herndon as your starting corners against this team. You have to somehow affect Ben Roethlisberger, and yet their whole MO is to get the ball out fast, and they don't really take deep shots. They get the ball out, so it makes it difficult to rush the passer. So I feel good about things, JP.
Sounds like it, John. and really beyond that, it's not just Claybrooks and Herndon, because those guys would be playing a lot in this game anyway.
Correct.
Because the Steelers are going to go 4 wide. It's your depth behind that. Josiah Scott has not played a lot of football. Luke Barku. I mean, these guys are going to get tested out there, as I would expect, as many of us do, that the Steelers are going to go run a lot of 4 wide and just look for the best matchup all day.
Yeah, if my numbers are right, and they may not be because when I started to look at them, I got sad. But Josiah Scott has played 2 snaps and Barco played none. So to have inexperienced guys going against this bunch, they're quick hitting. They're all the things that are tough to defend if you're a young cornerback, plus the fact that Roethlisberger is a 16th, 17th year guy who has seen everything and knows exactly what matchups to go after. And the best thing about it is now we get to talk about the Steelers' defense.
Yes, let's flip it around, John. Jake Luton making his 3rd career start against one of the top defensive units in football. They lead the league in sacks, quarterback hits. They get pressure. They take the ball away on the other side. They have 17 takeaways this year as a team, 16 of those on defense. When they're doing everything right on defense, and what kind of challenge is this today for Luton to be able to handle all of that?
Well, mammoth, because they come at you, and I think the key is, and we talked about it a little bit on the show this week, JP, I think the Jaguars – I don't know that it's fair to think that Jake Luton's going to have a huge game for 4 quarters. It's hard against the Steelers defense to do that. But what you hope is if he can hit a couple and get some stuff downfield going early and they can maybe get a lead, if he's going to play well, it has to be in the first quarter, because you hope that you don't fall behind against these guys, because that's when they're really going to be dangerous. The Steelers' pass rush is always good. If you get behind on this team, Doug Marrone said it best on Wednesday morning. It gets ugly because they're built to play with the lead. They're smart. They know how to rush the passer. They don't stop once they start rushing the passer. And I think the biggest thing that Doug Marrone said this week about it that sort of resonated, they play really hard, which all good teams, I guess, do. But it was noticeable to him how relentless this Steelers team is. They're not going to give you anything. They're not going to fall asleep at the wheel. So it's I guess I said last week that I thought the Packers were going to be the toughest matchup of the season. Can I change that, Mike?
Why not? We do it all the time.
Sure, that's right. It's radio.
Look, and I think, too, John, if Jake Luton's going to have any kind of success today, he's going to have to really rely on James Robinson to keep the Steeler defense honest. That is the one area where they're a little bit susceptible, giving up 4.3 yards per carry. I think you got to run right at these pass rushers and hope you have success today.
Yeah, you really do, and I think the key is what you said at the end. Hope you have success. Hope you have some success early. Again, I thought the formula last week, when they maintained possession against the Packers, the fact that James Robinson had 6 yards on each of his first 3 carries, as much as anything, as much as the Kelan Cole touchdown, that to me set the tone, because it meant, okay, you're going to give your quarterback, your offense, a chance to breathe a little bit. You're going to get a couple of first downs and not feel like you're standing on the sidelines watching the defense play again. So, yeah, Robinson and Luton, I think, both have to start well. I don't know if you have to start fast, meaning I don't know if you have to score, but you've got to get some yards early. You have to have some drives. If they don't score on them, they need to be punting from the 50 and not their own 15.
Obviously, big week for the O-line, too, especially those tackles we heard from Tony and Jeff earlier. I mean, the matchup this week, this is where you can go prove that, in Cam Robinson's case, this is where you can go prove that you deserve to get that big offseason money.
Yeah, and they played well for the most part last week until the final 2 plays. They both gave up sacks. So I don't particularly worry about this offensive line not being able to handle this matchup. What you worry about with this offensive line, with any offensive line against the Steelers, is if you fall behind, even if you're a really good offensive line against this team, you're going to have problems because they're rushing the passer every play. So, if they can maintain evenness in the game, I think the line will play well. If it's a 2-touchdown lead in the second half, then I think it's going to be up for some criticism because it's probably going to look worse to the offensive line than it actually is.
John, last week they scored on special teams. They won the turnover battle, did a great job pinning Green Bay back with punts as well. Do they have to have a duplicate effort to even make this a 4-quarter game?
Yeah, you almost got to think they have to have a better effort, and maybe not a special teams touchdown, but big plays out of special teams where they're setting you up. I wrote last week the Jaguars had to play their best game to beat the Packers. Well, they have to play a better game than they did against the Packers. They have a chance to beat the Steelers. Plus 2 turnovers, 1 big play out of the special teams, and then maybe you've got a chance to be in it late.
Got a chance. John, we'll look forward to your writing a little bit later. Have a great day. That'll do it for the Publix Tailgate Show. We're back in a moment with Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff with Pete Prisco, Fred Taylor, and head coach Doug Marrone. Steelers-Jaguars coming up. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.